Today on PlayStation News, the PS5 Pro event has been announced. Can Concord return as a free-to-play? New Astrobot stories including DLC bots possibly hinted at, and what's next for Team Asobi? SIE co-CEO Hermen Hulst on developing portfolio diversity, and more. Let's get to it. Hello friends, welcome back to PlayStation News, hoping you are doing great, and we have lots of PlayStation and gaming stories to talk about. So let's start with some quick fire stories including Grand Theft Auto 6. So we have Rockstar, who wanted to use the song Temptation from English synth pop band Heaven 17 on the GTA 6 soundtrack. We have band artist Martin Ware explaining on Twitter how he got approached and that he was really happy to hear from Rockstar that they wanted to use their song, at least until he read how much they wanted to pay for it. So Rockstar wanted to pay $7,500 for a full license in perpetuity, and Martin Ware declined, and you can see his response here, saying that Grand Theft Auto games, specifically Grand Theft Auto 5, has done $8.6 billion. And yeah, it was the right response. It's a shameful offer for a game that is gonna sell millions of copies at launch, probably outsell GTA 5 eventually, and not even the exposure that the game's gonna give you could cover the amount of revenue that they might have lost for giving the song for that amount. So good response from the band right here, and shame on you, Rockstar. Next, Ubisoft has acknowledged players' frustrations on stealth missions for Star Wars Outlaws, and they plan to fix them. So this was an interview from Games Radar to game director Julian Geraghty, and he was talking about a specific mission at the beginning of the game, saying that it was incredibly punishing because it has this fail state if you get discovered. He said, and I quote, "I don't think it means removing the fail state completely, but I do think there are millions of low-hanging fruits where we can make it so much more enjoyable and understandable. We just don't want it to feel unfair. This wasn't our intention. This is more of something that crept in the last week or so, and that we are correcting already for a patch." So if you have been annoyed by stealth missions on Star Wars Outlaws, they are planning to release a patch in the next 10 days for Star Wars Outlaws, and they keep patching the game since launch. So yeah, they are fixing stuff. They are still fixing stuff here. And still talking about Ubisoft, they have announced a Season 1 celebration for XDefiant running from September 9 until September 24. So by logging each day, players can get up to 900 coins, which is about $9, and also some weapons and XP boosters. This is great for anyone who is looking to play the game and who is still playing the game. And well, they have said that this is in celebration for the game's Season 1 ending, or starting, I'm not really sure. We know that the reality is that the game is not doing good. We have talked previously on how Insider Gaming and Tom Henderson have covered how the game has lost a lot of players, from 8 million during the first week to barely making 20,000. And it seems the studio has a lot of pressure, and they have to improve the state of the games, or it might lose support for DLC in the future. So hopefully this improves the state of the game for anyone enjoying it, and we'll see. Moving into another live service, we have Destiny 2 and Bungie celebrating the 10th anniversary of the game, and they share their plans for the game moving forward. So they are moving away from the one big expansion every year to now 2 medium-sized expansions that will add new storylines, new locations, missions, and so on, and also 4 major free content drops that will add seasonal stuff. So they are moving away from this one-shot campaign that they have done until the final shape, and they expect to enhance player experience through like a multi-year saga. They said that this format will allow them to retain the same storytelling they have done for the games up until this point. But this new structure will allow them to explore like non-linear storytelling, Metroidvania formats, and also survival shooters. So you can see it here. We have Codename Apollo, the first expansion, releasing in summer 2025 with a free major update, and another free major update following on fall 2025. It's going to be followed by Codename Behemoth, the second expansion, on winter 2025, and also a free update at that same moment. and after that is going to be another major free update in spring 2026. So that's the 2-year plan for the game, and we'll see what Bungie has to show next about the game. Now we have some bad news regarding PlayStation prices in several regions. Just a couple of weeks after Sony announced that they were increasing prices in Japan for both the console and accessories, we're getting a price increase, but only on the DualSense. So this was reported over the weekend by Wario64 on Twitter. He noticed several stores in the US that raised the price for the controller for $5, and that included Best Buy, Amazon, Target, and PlayStation Direct. And it was later confirmed as well by some other outlets that the price increase also applies in the UK and the rest of Europe. So it's gonna go up in the UK by £5 and the rest of Europe also by €5. The price increase applies to all colors, so now the from $69.99 they're gonna be $74.99, at least in the US. And yeah, it's been a horrible generation in terms of pricing. We have been getting price increases instead of price drops after almost 4 years with the console being out. So yeah, it also doesn't give a lot of hope for what the price of the PS5 Pro is gonna be, but we'll see. And speaking of PS5 Pro, Sony has announced a new technical presentation hosted by Mark Cerny that will be held today. So I go to the PlayStation blog where it says, "Join us for a stream presentation hosted by Mark Cerny, lead architect of the PS5 console. The 9-minute technical presentation will focus on PS5 and innovations on gaming technology. The stream will be broadcast on the PlayStation channel today at 8 AM Pacific, 11 AM Eastern, and 4 PM British Standard Time." And it's interesting that it's only 9 minutes when the PS5 tech presentation was almost an hour. They will have to show like some of the specs and also some of the PSSR and what they have for PlayStation games and how they will work with developers and all of that. Which a lot of that we have learned from like leaks, and we'll see. Like, I wonder if they will have a new game reveal or something to show with like PSSR or something like that, at least to keep people engaged here and not be something like that much technical as it was the first presentation with PS5. But they also have the rumored PlayStation State of Play, so we'll see. Maybe they go very technical here and they give us all the launch details at the State of Play and they show even more games there. This is what leaker Lunatic Ignus said last week, that he expected the announcement to be on Tuesday or Wednesday this week. And he also said that the State of Play could be coming up on September 19 or 20. And if there were any doubts that this is the PS5 Pro, and as if it wasn't enough, like all the leaks that we have gotten, like Sony just leaked something by themselves, and they basically have this unlisted video that will reveal more of the PS5 Pro, and they have the title of the video that you can see here. It's called PS5 Pro, so we know the console is going to be PS5 Pro. It's not going to be called anything else. And yeah, we will have to wait until later today. I'll have all the details on tomorrow's video. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do a reaction. I'm not gonna do a reaction live, so possibly one. I'll probably do a reaction after they do the event and post it here later on the channel. So let me know what you guys think about PS5 Pro. Are you looking forward to it? And what are your expectations on what you want? And what are your expectations regarding price? So let me know in the comments below. Now let's talk more about Concord, as the game was taken offline last Friday, with the developers thanking players for their support, even if there were not many of them. But now everyone's wondering if the game is gonna come back at some point, and we had the Sony announcement last week that implied that they were gonna take the game offline to work on it and improve it, saying something that, and I quote, "We will explore options, including those that will better reach our players." And there's this constant debate online if the game will come back as a free-to-play or what will Sony do. Now we have analyst Matt Piscatella from Circana saying that this is an unprecedented shutdown, that not even Anthem was this bad, and like even if it failed, it was the best-selling game of February in 2019 when it came out. So he has a lot of doubts if the game will come back. He said that on the one hand, the game and the IP were just so soundly rejected that one may think it as unsalvageable. On the other hand, so few know about the game that perhaps it could be brought back with a different model and a significant refresh. I think this is an unprecedented situation with all options on the table, so anyone's guess is probably as good as mine. And there's been also like users on Resetera wondering if the game is going to be free to play. There are some that believe that it's gonna be free to play eventually, but there's also a lot of questions on how they are gonna do that, as the game was designed, like their mechanics were designed to not pay for extra content, and they also had this huge plan of content ahead. So yeah, we'll see if Concord comes back at some point as a free-to-play, or they do anything to bring it back and improve on the systems and improve the interest for players. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think that Sony will bring it back as a free-to-play and they will be able to make people interested in a hero shooter like this? So let me know in the comments below. Moving on, let's talk about Astrobot, and I have bundled a lot of information, including possible DLC and what's next for Team Asobi, information about sales. But first, there's a spoiler warning here, as I'm gonna talk about bots that are not in the game and that could be added as DLC later, maybe. So if you consider that a spoiler, you can jump to any of the other sections of this video with the timestamps in the description. And with that, here we go with the spoilers in 3, 2, 1. So one of the teases is in the game's credits, as Team Asobi thanks several developers and publishers for lending their franchises, such as Ubisoft for Assassin's Creed, Beyond Good and Evil, and Rayman. There's also Croc and Worms and Stellar Blade and Rise of the Ronin. However, none of those bots are in the game. And the other case is the concept art for the game shows Twisted Metal and Fat Princess, and those are not in the game either. And it's even worse that there's nothing from Square Enix, not even Final Fantasy, which is a huge franchise for PlayStation, and there was Final Fantasy stuff in Astro's Playroom. So yeah, it's very weird regarding Square. And the others, it might be a hint or maybe not, maybe it's the stuff that was approved and Team Asobi decided to cut, or there's stuff that they will bring back. Team Asobi has already said, as you can see here from Genki JPN, that we'll be releasing some free DLC, including speedrun challenges and levels and new VIP bots to rescue. And they will also add leaderboards and all of that. And that's planned for release this year. So are these a hint or a tease of what's coming? Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Now, there's someone who is not happy about his character being in the game, and we are talking about Days Gone director John Garvin. So Garvin reacted and retweeted to a post from Ben Studio congratulating Team Asobi on the launch for Astrobot. So what he said in the tweets, you can see it here, that it's kind of sad that Dick has been reduced to promoting other games. Well done, Ben Studio, way to promote your legacy. In a very sarcastic tweet. He also replied to another fan that there was a lot of debate in that thread. He said that I see my character reduced to a cartoon shield promoting some small game, and I'm being harsh. So I don't agree with John Garvin here. I think it's very unprofessional and very disappointing to see it coming from him. I understand that he's frustrated that Sony didn't pick up Days Gone 2 and all of the issues that happened with his exit from Sony. I don't think there's any legacy to protect, like this is not doing any harm to what they did with Days Gone. I see that's the other way around. I think this means that Team Asobi recognizes Deacon and as a character that has a lot of importance in PlayStation's history and legacy, and for players to have an interaction with this character in the game. And in any case, I think this is doing the opposite. This is promoting Days Gone to anyone who has not heard of it. So yeah, I don't agree with his take at all, and let me know what you guys think about what he said and the fact that Deacon is a character in Astrobot. Does it bother you, or do you think it's not that bad? Now, Astrobot has been a huge success for Sony in terms of critical reception and fan reception as well. But it's not been without issues, and this is according to PlayStation Lifestyle. There's some issue with the game with autosave, so it appears that the game autosaves, but only when you quit into the main menu. So if you close the game on properly, or the PS5 shut down, or the game crashes, you are gonna lose your progress, the progress that you have done into the game. And if you were trying to rescue the 305 bots, it's gonna mess up with your progress. So players on Reddit and Resetera, they have shared a workaround for this issue, and they recommend, if you have PS Plus, to disable the automatic cloud save. So if you have a good save on the cloud, it doesn't get overwritten with the corrupt one. They also recommend you to exit into the main menu every once in a while, so that your progress gets saved and you don't lose progress into getting all the collectibles. And also to manually do the cloud backup by yourself. So yeah, hopefully Team Asobi comes up with a patch in the coming weeks for this issue. Now, there's no official sales information about the game as of recording. I guess we could be getting some information regarding sales in the UK very soon. But it seems that it's doing really well on PlayStation Store and Amazon as well. So on the PlayStation Store is number 5 behind NBA 2K25, Call of Duty, Fortnite, and Warhammer Space Marine 2. And on Amazon is on the top 5 among the bestsellers on video games, and top 3 among the bestsellers on PS5 specifically. So we'll have to wait until Sony says anything about sales, or until we hear about the sales result for each of the regions in the next month. So I'll be checking that out and bringing you the information on what are the sales for Astrobot at that point. Now, we know that Team Asobi is partially done with Astrobot outside of DLC that they plan to release later this year. So one has to wonder what's next for them besides of this DLC. And we have that information from studio director Nicolas Doucet, who spoke about it in a recent interview with BGC. So Nicolas Doucet said there that they don't have this interest in making hyper-realistic, mature games as it has been the case for Naughty Dog or Sucker Punch, for example. He said, and I quote, "If you consider the history of PlayStation and how every studio has positioned themselves, it's interesting that, and this is also what I show management, as the audience of PlayStation grew, a lot of these studios went from making cartoon games to a little bit more mature, hyper-realistic games. We really wanted to fill that gap that used to be the gap filled by other studios 20 to 25 years ago. That's really where we want to be, all ages, colorful, etc. So it seems that they may continue working on expanding the Astrobot IP, or maybe doing a new IP, but they will remain doing these colorful games, whether it's a platformer or another genre. But it seems they don't have the interest to go in the same route as these other studios that have grown into making more serious games and realistic games. So yeah, we'll see what happens with Team Asobi. And let me know what you guys think about everything that we have talked about here regarding Astrobot. Have you played the game yet? What do you think about it? And what type of DLC would you like to see? What VIP bots would you like to see join the game? Let me know about that in the comments below. Next, it seems that SIE co-CEO Hermen Hulst also acknowledges that they need to have these family-friendly games, as he spoke about portfolio diversity on a recent episode of the PlayStation podcast. So he said, and I quote, "I think it's massively important that PlayStation studios develop games in various genres, and the family market is really important for us to focus on. Astrobot is very important to PlayStation. Obviously, we had Astro's Playroom pre-installed with PS5 that millions of people have embraced and loved. It's remarkable that a relatively small team is able to deliver a game that is so big, and it's really become a great game in itself, but it's kind of become a celebration of everything PlayStation. It's kind of an Easter egg fiesta, and it's becoming synonymous with our innovation and our legacy in single-player gaming that we have at PlayStation Studios." Now, given the podcast was specific about Astrobot, he didn't talk about the opposite when trying to diversify your portfolio ends up in something like Concord, that was being shut down in the same day that Astrobot was being launched. I agree that they need the variety, and they have done a great work at the action-adventure genre. But they also need like the family friendly and the multiplayer games. we just have to hope that they understand the market in better ways, and not have a Concord. Instead have something like an Astrobot, that they learned that there was a demand for something like this. And also in terms of multiplayer, something like Helldivers that has been doing really great since it launched back in February. We'll see what they do. They had lots of plans in games as a service. We'll see if they see that there's more interest in single player and they try to pivot back and keep less multiplayer focused games. So yeah, we'll see what happens in terms of that. Let me know what you guys think about portfolio diversity on PlayStation. Do you think they cover enough genres? Or what other genres would you like them to have, at least coming from first-party studios? Alright, so now let's talk about new releases. Out today we have, out yesterday, as I didn't have an episode yesterday. We had Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2 for PS5, Xbox Series and PC. It's finally out with the standard edition. It was available since last week with the Ultra and Gold edition, but it seems like there was a lot of issues with that and people paid for these expensive editions and early access, and you usually end up paying for issues. Then today we have Elsie coming for PS5, Nintendo Switch and PC. Jars Rising comes out for all platforms: PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, Nintendo Switch, PC and Atari VCS. Rugrats Adventures in Game Land out for PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, Nintendo Switch and PC. Vampire the Masquerade Reckoning of New York out for PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, Nintendo Switch and PC. And there's also the DLC for Persona 3 Reload Episode Aegis, I think it's how you pronounce that, The Answer. So the DLC is out for PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series and on PC as well. So that's out for today. Let me know what games are you looking forward to this week. You can also find the full list of games coming out this week on the community tab in the channel. So go check that out. And there you go, that's all the stuff that I have for you here today on PlayStation News. Let me know what you guys think about all of the stuff that we talk about, including what are you looking forward about PS5 Pro? Do you think that Concord can come back as a free-to-play or not? What VIP bots are you hoping Team Asobi adds into the game? What do you think about John Garvin and his comments regarding Deacon being in Astrobot? And all of the other stuff, what's next about for Team Asobi in regard of like them wanting to do more cartoonish type of games? And also, what do you think about the PlayStation portfolio diversification? Do you think they cover enough genres or not? Let me know about that in the comments below. And remember that you can find all of the sources for these stories in the description as well. And yeah, so thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.